When I was 6 years old, my mother left my dad and I for a banker, and they both went on their merry way to Washington, leaving my dad and I in Oregon. Ever since then, it had just been the both of us. I didn't have a mom to teach me how to shave or help me with my period or any of that. My dad pulled through and kept us together as a family, even though we were considered broken by all our neighbors. I thought my mom would fight for custody, but she soon made it clear she had no intention of keeping me around. So, women or motherly figures weren't my role models in life. My dad was. But then, something seriously horrible happened. I came home from school one day and saw my dad smiling ear to ear. When he saw me, he confessed with glee that he'd been talking to someone online for a while now, and that she was visiting us in a few days. I nearly dropped my backpack. Who could he have been talking to, and how long was this going on? He said that they'd been talking for a few months. A few months? And I had no idea. He confessed that their relationship was getting serious and he felt it was time to tell me before she just showed up on our doorstep. He seemed so happy. At first, I was stunned. My dad had been single ever since Mom left and had not once stepped foot in the dating pool. Now, all of a sudden, he had a girlfriend who was visiting in a few days. But like I said before, he seemed so happy, so I was happy too, at least for him. Don't get me wrong, I want my father to have someone when I'm not there. I thought it'd be good for him to maybe find his true soulmate, or at least try it out and see where it goes. How very wrong I was. So the day of the big visit was here, and he had cleaned the entire house with my help. He had on a nice shirt and even put some gel in his hair. He offered to pick her up, but she said she was being dropped off by a friend who lived in the area, and when we saw her pull up, he opened the door and walked out to greet her. As soon as I saw her, I knew something wasn't right. She looked like she was only 3 or 4 years older than me, but my dad walked right over to this sexy 20-year-old girlfriend and gave her a big hug. She gave a fake smile, the kind that's obvious because her eyes weren't crinkling and her teeth were so white I thought I'd go blind. Tan body, blonde hair, and a slim figure. It was no wonder why my dad fell so easily. She was apparently a nurse from a few cities away, and she met my dad online. I complimented her necklace, which I soon found out was a gift from my dad. It turns out that she had been talking to my dad online for 3 months, and in the first 2 weeks, he was sending her money and gifts and all kinds of stuff. I couldn't believe it. I was about to call her out for being a catfish, but now, seeing her, I guess if you're that attractive, it's easy to take money in person. She said she planned to stay a few nights if that was okay with my dad, who, of course, was completely for it. I was wary because we didn't know her, and all of a sudden she was having a sleepover. But my dad said he'd been talking with her for a few months, so he knew her intentions were good. So she stayed with us, first on the couch, and then in his bed. Creeped me out. She was like 20, 3 years older than me. After a few nights, I thought she'd leave, but she just stayed. 1 week, and then 2, and then 3. I didn't think the nightmare would end. The worst part was how she took advantage of my dad. He was a go-lucky, happy guy in spite of our past. He was generous and naive, and she dug her salon talons into him like a frickin' dragon. First, he bought her an entire new wardrobe. She reasoned that it was because she left her clothes at home and couldn't possibly get them because of how far she lived from here. She was always ordering takeout and suggesting we go to the movies. My dad worked hard for his money and we weren't rich by any means, so I was getting annoyed real fast. I worked too, every day after school. But here this woman was, eating our food, sleeping in our beds, and watching our TV with no job or responsibility. I tried confronting my dad, suggesting that she was using him. He shrugged it off and said that their relationship was real. I think he was actually in love with her. But the more she started to drain his bank account, the more skeptical I became. And it's been that way ever since.